right? How do you think they get into office? We own you. And that's pretty weird to have an ex-FBI agent tell you that. But that's what we're dealing with. You're dealing with organized crime.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so it is a messed up maritime system. You understand that. But what it's going to come down to, regardless, when you strip away all the detail, is the resonance of love, which is basically a truth vibration. When people have that, then they can stand up for the truth. If they're disconnected, they'll be binary in their mind, and they will justify why not to be a life form, which is that which expresses love and truth. So that is where we got to focus, you know, and a lot of it is recharging the spirit of people so they actually feel like they should contribute, that they do have value in and of themselves, and when they can do that, they're more likely to stand up for other people.
Absolutely.
We are in the same place.
Yes.
The one thing that I try to demonstrate more than any other is that this is not just our right, it's our duty. And in doing this duty, we're not out here to harm anyone. Oh yeah, I file a lot of criminal complaints against public officials, but that's merely a means to a proper end. I have no animosity toward these guys. For the most part, I consider the police to be people who want to be good guys.
Exactly.
They're stuck in a garbage system they can't fix.
And when we implement these strategies, we don't do this out of feelings of anger or vengeance or vindication. We do it out of justice and duty.
And more than that.
And trying to make things fair for people.
I'm going to file about 100 criminal complaints because of one arrest. I'm going to file against public officials who have no idea what they did wrong. And I'm going to charge them with following policy. And the reason being is I want to give them plausible deniability. I want them to be able to go to their boss and say, hey, Bubba, why am I getting in trouble for doing what you told me to do?
Well,
this is my purpose. It's not to get them in trouble.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
I think that, you know, with today's technology, it is quite possible to administer what's called rapid belief modification via mind control. Now, that can be used detrimentally, but when we come to a situation like this, the primary problem is the human inability to move on.
Right.
To forgive. And that is what this group, this elite group, is also considering, is that if these things come out, can we forgive? Well, now we're in a situation where if somebody wants to point their finger at somebody for committing a crime, we can say, okay, well, let's just take you into this room for 2 weeks, and we're going to reprogram.
Okay, listen, we need to go to break. We're going to break in 2 seconds. We'll be right back.
Anyway, the second thing that's been on my mind, it could very well be that Christianity and a lot of these religions were designed, their very purpose, thinking this many moves ahead, designed to fail. How? Why? Well, if they steal the teachings of Christ and then create this Jesus deity, this Trinity, which isn't what it was, then point their fingers at themselves like they always do, expose the Babylonian symbolism, the satanic symbolism of the religions they created. They could do that in hopes to make you abandon all Christ's teachings as well, do you see? If you don't know that they stole those teachings, then you'll think that they created those teachings. They expose the deity as symbolism, and then everybody will have their big sigh of relief. Oh, we don't have to be good. We don't have to follow any of that. You see, the ultimate last-ditch attempt to discredit Christ. Why? That opens the door for the New World religion of sorcery, or Satanism, for the utopia. It has to be that because there's no way these people doing what they're doing could have given the metaphors that Christ gave to create some symbolic deity. The two wouldn't go hand in hand. So, it really, from what I've been learning, what I've seen, they stole his teachings to draw people into both Christianity and Satanism. Then they're going to point the finger at the symbolism of Christianity and other religions so that people release all of the teachings of Christ, thinking was a fraud, for the final entrapment. It's very important that you stay balanced. Because regardless of what's happening in this reality, you have got to stay you while you speak out about it. All of these things. The primary foundation of what you are is love, and that's what they don't want you to know. And the easiest way to do that is to come in the name of love and slowly tear you away from it, redefine it, to ensnare you in the web. One more thing I want to address for people, which has nothing to do with the topic, but I'll add it to this recording, okay? People are kind of getting tongue-tied and gridlocked trying to approach people about what's going on. Finding it very difficult, as would be predicted, to go up to a stranger and start talking about the New World Order, or even spirit. It is very difficult. So how do you approach people? Well, I've already shown you that. You've got to understand, look, it doesn't matter how fraudulent a person's belief systems are. They're very rigid, regardless. If you try to attack somebody's belief system, even if it has been built off of disinformation, you've got to understand their very personality is built off of the disinformation. So if you attack the disinformation right out of the blue, they're going to feel like their very existence and their personality is under attack. Does that make sense to you? The best way to do this is to show them subliminal messages. It's one thing to do it online, but people can always say, oh, he did that. He put it in there with Adobe Photoshop. It's another thing to do it in person. Now, I recently just took a trip all the way through the South, and I went all over the place. Like in, for example, Nashville, Tennessee, they had this huge mall, and I went in there with the Glamour magazine, November 2007, in hand, and went store to store. So yeah, I'm putting the footwork in. I don't have a lot of money, but I spent my money to do this. Why would I do that? It didn't matter what store. It could be Banana Republic, a hair salon, Foot Locker. It didn't matter who it was. It's real easy to do. Listen, if any of you have the social skills to communicate where you don't come off as intrusive or imposing on people, you're the people that are needed to wake up. Okay? Because then you're going to be able to approach people in a sincere way and feel comfortable doing it. And that's very, very important. So that's something that I have the ability to do, and I'm doing it. I walk in, all I say is, hey, you want to see something interesting? Now, who doesn't want to see something interesting? I'm not going to come and say, you're all under mind control, the New World Order. Yeah, they're going to look at me like, what? I'd say, you want to see something interesting. They say, what? I say, well, I'm just doing a little survey on perception. They say, huh? I say, yeah. And then I just give them a very simplistic understanding. I say, imagine, what I'm looking at is how people's minds are shaped, and I want to test you and see how perceptive you are. What are you able to catch? So now people are competitive. They're interested. Then I go through the conscious mind and subconscious mind thing. I say, recall. I say, you know what the subconscious mind is, right? And usually they'll say, yeah, whether they do or not. Say, remember that the subconscious mind is that which the conscious mind will access for the meaning it's going to project onto its reality. And then I say, well, let me just show you something very basic. And then there's a primary manipulative thing on the cover of that magazine where they have that paragraph-shaped 2 huge 9s.